All right. So it's sharing the video here within the event as my personal page. I don't know why, but that's okay because we are ready to rock and roll here. And I'm just going to wait a moment here in case some people decide to hop on. And I also want to check within the event that it is working. So bear with me here for a second. All right. And we look here, almost. All right, yes, we are live now, and it seems to be working, so very cool. All right, so and before we get started here, I just want to let you guys know that if you have any questions, comments, anything as I'm talking here, I'm going to do my best to answer those, so just type them in the chat box, and I'm hoping that I am able to see them as they pop up. But if for whatever reason I don't get a chance to address those here after I'm done speaking, then I will message you back, or you can feel free to email us, call us, whatever. But we want to make sure that we get any questions or anything answered, because that's the purpose of this. So anyway, I'm Dr. Nick Centra, and my wife and I are family and pediatric chiropractors at Centra Family Chiropractic in Janesville, Wisconsin. And the reason for doing this is because you hear, not only in practice, but we'll hear, just on social media or from friends of ours or whatever around, that, this time of year is when when families tend to be burdened by illness, and the cycle that they get stuck in, that just rut of sickness around this time of year, that causes kids to miss school, that causes parents to miss work because kids are missing school. Hey Kim, cool, nice to see you. And anyway, that cycle of sickness is what is the purpose of doing this, because we've been able to help a lot of people get out of those ruts, and this is something that we felt we needed to share and get out there to the community. So as we start here, I think the most important thing to understand, and the most important question to ask, is, what is normal? Okay, how often is it normal to get sick? Okay, or be sick and whatnot? And the answer to that question is that even healthy people are going to get sick. Okay, nobody is going to avoid getting sick. All right, so I can't stress that enough, especially for new parents. Okay, because new parents, your first baby boy, baby girl, they get a couple weeks, couple months old, and then they get all cranky and fussy, and then they develop a fever, or they get congested, or runny nose, or throwing up, or diarrhea, or anything like that. And that is a very stressful time for a parent, especially a first-time parent. And what I'm here to tell you is that is completely normal. All right, that is what we would call the immune system expressing itself in response to a threat. Okay, so that term immune expression, while it's not always a fun thing, all right, it is a completely normal and healthy thing. So the opposite side of the coin would be an immune system that is suppressed. So that would be immune suppression. And we're going to talk about what that means here in a second. But when you're talking about immune expression and immune suppression, I want you to think of your immune system like soldiers on a battlefield. All right. So the good guys, okay, the good soldiers, those are your body's immune system. Okay. And on the other end of things, you got the the bad guys. Those are the viruses, the bacterias, the germs, whatever, that would invade our body and create us to be sick. So if you think about it, and you have a baby or a kid or even an adult that comes in contact with a invader, all right, and that invader attacks the good guys, all right, your immune system is designed to, and it very well should, respond by attacking those bad guys, because they want to kick butt so you can, you know, kick the sick and get healthy and move on your way, all right? So we have that situation. Let's say that little baby comes in contact with a virus, or you say your kids go to you know, the daycare or school, they come in contact with a bad guy, a virus, and their immune system responds with a fever, with vomiting, throwing up, diarrhea, you know, whatever, you know, runny nose, coughing, sneezing. All of those are responses to an attack, all right? And that is not fun, but it is completely normal and healthy. On the other side of the coin, with immune suppression, what happens is the body, or the good guys are getting attacked, but by the bad guys, but the good guys cannot win the battle. Okay, they're losing the war, all right? And an example of that would be the rut that I was referring to earlier, where you get in those cycles of sickness where you're sick for a week, and then you look like you're getting better, or your kid looks like they're getting better, but then they're sick again, and then they're better a little bit, and then they're sick again, okay? That is a classic example of an immune system that is suppressed to the point that it's just not able to win that battle. All right. So the real concern is not whether you're getting sick for a day or 2 or 3 days and then you're back on your feet and you're up and running again. The problem is when you're sick for weeks or months at a time, okay, consistently. All right. So the whole idea behind getting sick, especially during this time of year, is the question to ask is, why do we get sick during these times of year? What makes us more? And one of the things that is completely not true is that there is a flu season. Okay, there's no such thing as a flu season, or a season of the year, in other words, where there's more germs or more viruses going around. However, what makes us more susceptible to getting sick this time of year is the fact that our defense system, the environment changes to where it lowers our defense system, or our immune system's ability to win those battles on the immunological level. Okay, so we're going to go down through here some things that lower those defense systems, okay? Some things that happen around this time of year that make us more susceptible to getting sick. And the first is a change in season, okay? So number one is temperature change, okay? So we go through all spring and summer, and our body gets adapted to a certain level of temperature, and then we get to a point where it gets really cold really quickly, like we are now. And you don't get sick because of the cold, regardless of what your mom told you. And my mom is coming to visit here in a couple days, and I guarantee that when I go outside, if I go outside without a coat on, she's going to say, what? You better get a coat on or you're going to get sick, right? Even to this day. So the truth is that you don't get sick from being in the cold. However, when our bodies have to adapt to that rapid change in temperature, that is a burden on our system that lowers those defense systems. The next thing would be in regards to change of season that goes along the lines of that is less sunlight. Okay, sunlight, our bodies were designed by God to create a vitamin D just from being in sunlight. So the fact that our bodies were designed that way to do that on its own, vitamin D is the only vitamin that our body does that via sunlight. So the fact that that happens in our body without us having to consume that vitamin D lets us know that that's probably a pretty important vitamin to be utilized in our body. So less sunlight means less vitamin D, and research has kind of went right along with that, showing that there is it affects your immune system when you have less levels of vitamin D. So less change in temperature, less sunlight, less vitamin D. That's the first thing. Second thing would be less activity. Okay. we go through summertime, kids are out running around, having fun, playing outside. And that is a time when we're just more active. And we all know that research has also proven that when we exercise, that helps to elevate our immune response as well. But now school time comes along, and instead of kids being out running around playing all day, they are in a sitting in class for 8 hours a day. And then oftentimes, if your kid is not in a sport during this time of year or not in an extracurricular activity, they'll be sitting in class, and then they'll come home, and then they'll sit in front of the Xbox or sit in front of the iPad or whatever. And just that lack of activity versus how it was in the summertime lessens our immune response as well. Also, during this time of year, eating habits change, okay? Usually during summer, there's more of a home-cooked meals. There's more good foods coming in via, the health fairs and the what do they call it? The vendors that sell the different vegetables out in the streets. I'm blanking on the name of it, but anyway, you know what I mean. So now they get to school lunches are not the healthiest option. Also, holidays come around. So Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, that equals candy, pies, cookies, like all that increasing sugar, increasing carbs from what it was in summertime, creates inflammation in the body, which again gives our body an additional burden to lower those defense systems as well. And more stress, okay? The summertime, you go through, you're sleeping in, you're kind of less activities going on. Now school starts up. I know moms that they leave in the morning at 6 a.m., take their kids to school, and by the time they get them all dropped off, it's like a 2 or 3 hour round trip, and then they come back, and then you pick the kids up from school, another 2 or 3 hour round trip, and then you take them to sporting events and extra activities and things like that, and we're just busier. It's just a busier time of year, planning holidays, and the list goes on and on. But more stress equals more of a burden on our system as well. And then lastly is less sleep. Oftentimes kids, they have a bedtime routine during the week, or even for adults, and then weekends come, especially time off from school during holidays, that comes along, and then our sleeping schedules change, and that can affect the way our circadian rhythms are aligned, and that just kind of is an additional stress on the system as well. So to sum it all up, there is no such thing as a flu season or anything like that. It's just a season of time where we have a change in temperature, less sunlight, less vitamin D, less activity, eating habits are worse, more stress, busier lifestyle, and less sleep. And all of those things combined lower our chances of kicking the sick, all right? So now is the part that we're going to talk about how to kick the sick. What are some things that you can do to better your immune system, to not only get out of those ruts of illness, but also to build up your immunity and prepare your body for future seasons where there is drastic changes like we talked about before. I have 5 different things that we're going to do and or talk about here. And the biggest thing before I start into this is that you've got to understand that there is no quick fix, okay? If you're looking to improve the health and wellness of you and your family, there is no quick fix. And that goes the same for everything in terms of health, okay? You can't just work out once a month and expect to be in shape. You can't just eat a salad once a week and lose weight in a diet, okay? You can't just pick up an instrument and train your body to play an instrument after being shown how to do it once or twice, okay? You have to consistently do these things that I'm going to talk about here in a second, to help build up your immune system and build up your body's defense systems so that they don't get in those ruts of sickness, all right? So the first one, and guys, you may know these, okay? A lot of these you may know, maybe you don't, but regardless, it's like I said, it's about the consistency of doing it, because one thing that if you continue to do the same things over and over every time these bouts and cycles come into play, nothing's going to change. So you got to do it. You got to make those changes and do it consistently. So the first one is make sure that you are staying active. Okay. This is for parents. This goes for kids. And the biggest thing with this, and it's kind of a no-brainer, is, exercising, being active, is to find something that you enjoy doing. Okay. Find something your kids enjoy doing. You don't need to join a gym. You don't need to deadlift and bench press. You just do something active. Have the kids go out and have a snowball fight, or go play football outside, or maybe play tennis, or in the summer ride a bike, whatever it is. Just make sure you're being active at least 3 or 4 times a week for at least a half hour or 45 minutes at a time. It's going to make a huge difference. For parents and kids, basically just don't. If your kid's not in any extracurricular activities during this time of year, don't let them just come home after school and after sitting all day and then sit in front of the Xbox and play Fortnite all night. Okay. As much fun as that is, have them go out, throw the football around, and then come in and then play the Xbox, whatever. So that's the first thing. The second thing is trying to keep the sleep schedules, especially on weekends. Okay. So usually during the week, like I said, we have a certain bedtime that we try to get the kids into, and a routine. And then weekend comes, and oftentimes, or even holidays come, when kids don't have school, parents don't have work, and you stay up a little later, and then you end up getting up a little earlier. It just kind of throws those cycles off. So do your best, especially with kids, to try and keep them in a fairly decent range of sleep, to get the proper amount of sleep, and good sleep as well. Third thing would be keep nutrients in their diet. Okay. Like I said, the school lunches, those type of things are usually not the healthiest options. So if you can send your kids with a packed lunch, just make sure that you're keeping less of those, what we would call empty calories. Okay. So like crackers, chips, white breads, things like that, out of their diet, and try and sneak in some form of fruit or vegetable or something like that, that they like, in replacement of those. So the more nutrients you can get in their body, the better they're going to be off. One thing that we found that works really well, especially for kids, for adults too, is to make a smoothie. Okay. And it's very simple. Just within a blender, buy frozen fruits, okay, that they like. So let's say your kid likes bananas and strawberries. Okay. Buy frozen bananas, frozen strawberries, put them in a blender with some water. Also buy some like spinach or something like that you can kind of sneak in there, that blends up really well, and kids won't even know it's in there, but you'll still be getting those nutrients in there. And then you can even add just water, the frozen vegetables, and then you can put some yogurt in there. Coconut yogurt you can buy. It's sugar-free, dairy-free, is really good. You don't need something real sweet in there, because you can also put a little honey in there to make it very, very tasty for the kids, and they're getting their nutrients that way, and it actually tastes good. So fourth thing is supplement, especially vitamin D. All right. As I said, vitamin D is not being created through sunlight. So supplementing that is a great way in the wintertime to counterbalance that. The one thing that you need to realize, though, is that vitamin D is what you call a fat-soluble vitamin. So what that means is that if you consume vitamin D and you're not consuming it with something that has fat in it, like eggs or almonds or peanut butter or something like that, then your body is not going to absorb it. So you need to, if you're supplementing for your kids, make sure that they're drinking or eating something that has fat in it, so that their body will absorb it properly. And then also there's different essential oils, different thieves oil, different things like that work really well to combat viruses and bugs and things like that during this time of year, and also help build up that immune defense within the body. And lastly is getting adjusted. Okay, I realize that watching that, coming from a chiropractor, of course he's going to say that, but I can't tell you how many families we've been blessed to help come in that have been in these ruts, that have followed this same protocol that I'm giving you, followed the advice that we're giving you here, these 5 things, and it's just changed their life. And not just the fact that the kids didn't get sick, but they didn't have to miss school. The parents don't have to miss work, and it just affects so much more than just feeling good. That again. These 5 things really help with. And not only does clinical experience give me the ability to say that is part of it, getting adjusted, but research has also shown that. In fact, this research article I have here was actually done on a group of people that were under regular chiropractic care for a period of time. And I know I just said regular chiropractic care, not an adjustment or two, because regular chiropractic care, like I said earlier, the consistency is what helps build that immunity up. And anyway, in this study, they were measuring blood samples of people that were under regular care, chiropractic care, versus a group that were not under chiropractic care. And the group that was getting adjusted regularly had a 200% increase in their immune competence, meaning their immune cells within the bloodstream were 200% greater. Now, and that isn't including any environmental factors that we were talking about, like weather and nutrients and diet and all those things. This is strictly just a group that was getting adjusted versus a group that wasn't, and 200% increase, which is pretty phenomenal, pretty darn cool if you ask me. But that is just all of these things combined are where you get the results that you want. Okay. One of the ways through chiropractic care that we address if we can help, or if your body is in a state of stress, that we would call your neurology is in a state of stress. One of the ways that we measure that here in our office is through these scans. Okay. And basically, I'm not going to go into detail about this, but the way that these studies get the results that they do is because if your neurology, if your nervous system and your spine is in a state of stress, it is going to lower your immune competence. So when we do a scan like this and we see colors like we see here and here, that just tells us that, number one, we can be of benefit to your kid, to your family. And number two, when we remove this stress, that's going to dramatically improve their body's ability to improve in terms of health and wellness and immunity. All right. Immune response. All right. So that is basically all we have for today. And I just want to leave you with an opportunity. If you happen to watch this webinar, whether it's live, whether it's a recording, just mention that you watch this and contact us if you would like to come in for a initial visit. We're going to run scans, exams, case history, go through all of that for free. If you mention this webinar, we're going to take you, your kid, your family through that process and go from there in terms of how we can help you. And I just want to throw out that opportunity to find out if we can help. So give us a call. If you have any questions on anything that we did, like I said, just mention it here in the chat box, and we will get back to you, whether it be through email or through messages on Facebook or call us or whatever. That's what we're here for. We're here to help, and we're here to help you kick the sick so you don't have those ruts and cycles of sickness throughout the rest of the year and coming forward in the future. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys soon.